Hi, this is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6 Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video I'm back with another COMSEC Practices video. For today's video I'm going to be utilizing some new technology that I've started messing with, and that is screen capture technology. This is going to be helpful going forward for some other videos that I intend to do where I help you guys out on the computer side of programming your radios. But for today we're going to use this for an entirely different purpose as it relates to COMSEC practices. Today what I'm going to be talking about in particular is COMSEC mindset, and kind of actually just a proper mindset and attitude when it comes to the tactical employment of radios. Because I'm going to be looking and showing you one particular picture of one particular guy at one particular event. And this right here is the guy I'm talking about. Now, I'm not singling this guy out for any reason other than the fact that he's doing something that I see a lot of other people doing. And that is sort of his approach towards employing a radio into his kit. I'm not going to talk about what this guy is doing or the activities he's engaging in. That's a subject for another video entirely, but this was taken from a protest that occurred a few years back. But again, this is something that I see even to this day when people are working with their kit out in the field for things like this, and I see them employing their radios in this same fashion. And it's a pretty sloppy, haphazard, half-assed approach to doing things, and it's certainly not something that I encourage. So I'm going to be kind of roasting this guy just a little bit. Again, I've blocked out his identity. I blocked out his militia unit patch on his polo shirt here because I'm not going after this guy personally. I'm going after the mindset around setting your radio up like this. So to begin with, what we've got here is we've got a guy with a Baofeng radio. Now, it's not a UV5R. He's kind of gone a little upscale. It's a BF F8 HP, but it is an inexpensive analog Chinese radio that he's got clipped to his kit. Now, it is entirely possible that he showed up to this event and someone just gave him a radio and he clipped it to the only place on his kit that he had an opening in order to use the radio, and that's his excuse for doing what he's doing here. Okay, I'll take that. But the problem is I see people that do know better and people that do own their own equipment that are using this same approach. Oftentimes it's just clipping the radio to their plate carrier on the front, and that's kind of it. Every now and again you'll see them running a speaker mic, oftentimes not. So we've got some things to talk about and tear apart here. But this is just an indicator that, a lot of you, if you've been around long enough, you can kind of tell how seriously someone takes something by the care in which they're deploying that particular piece of equipment or technology. This is a guy that definitely cares a lot about his weapon system, and he's put some attention to detail into this. And I'll point this out by pointing out his bullet drop calculations that he's written on the buttstock of his carbine, all the way out to 500 yards. So he's got some idea of what drop calculations he needs to dope into his scope, although I don't see any kind of optic on the gun itself. But he's paid attention to that detail. But when it comes to the radio side of things, he's not really putting a lot of attention in at all. Now, he's got two pieces of kit here. He's got the radio and then he's got a tourniquet here, and I would propose that whether it's your weapon system, whether it's your tourniquet, or whether it's your radio, all of these pieces of equipment are important in their own unique ways. But in terms of priority, radio is obviously the last on his list, and that's pretty common because a lot of people, they don't really get to know radio as well as they should because it's, well, for them oftentimes it's a geek topic, and it's not something that they choose to delve into all that much. So you see stuff like this going on. The whole purpose that I exist as a channel is to get beyond this. So let's go ahead and delve a little bit into the radio, and let's first talk about how he has it attached to his equipment. So he's using a belt clip, and he's got it attached to the sternum strap on this Camelback rig that he's wearing. And again, I do see this happen a lot where people will have a UV5R with an extendo battery and they've got it clipped to an open spot on their molly on a plate carrier like this up front, and that's kind of it. Like I say, sometimes they have a speaker mic, sometimes not. Seldom do I see any kind of audio ear tube or headset kit. Those guys are like the super advanced spec ops version of these dudes apparently. But what we've got here, like I say, he's just clipped to the front. So if he gets into any kind of serious physical activity, the likelihood of him not having this radio attached to his kit is pretty high. It's gonna come off whether the belt clip breaks off or whether it comes off under inertia. It's gonna go away pretty darn quick. So this is a very poor approach. I'm gonna recommend a pouch every time, and I'm also gonna recommend a pouch for another reason. I'm gonna bet that this guy, every time he keys up or receives any message traffic, this screen is going to light up either amber, blue, or purple, depending on what he's picked. And that too, another bad idea. I can't prove it, but I'm betting he does not have this set up in hide and seek mode. I'm guessing this thing lights up like a Christmas tree every time he has radio traffic come in. That's going to be a problem in terms of a light discipline issue. I would imagine, again, can't prove it, but oftentimes what I see is they don't have beeps disabled on their radios either. So every time they do anything, either change a frequency or turn the radio on and off, this thing is making all kinds of noise. So basically it's just a light and noise discipline nightmare for you. And that would go along, and the reason I make these assumptions is because of what I'm seeing right here alone. This is a guy that doesn't really know much about radio and might not choose to, not sure. So it gets even worse though as we go along. Sorry about that. Because in the last video, I talked about controlling your incoming audio so others around you can't hear you. Now, this guy has his clip pretty high on his rig, and I'm guessing with all of these voices here and people chanting and carrying on, I'm guessing it's pretty noisy there, and that's why he has it up so high. Thus, I imagine he has the volume at full. So everyone around him can hear the traffic that's coming in on this radio. If he took the precaution to run a speaker mic and then run an audio ear tube into his ear or run it into a headset, he would have that discipline on that audio signal so that others wouldn't be able to hear. Again, pointed that out in the last couple of videos. Now moving on, this is the most egregious violation of communication security in the whole thing. And this is something that I saw a lot during the incident with the Bundy folks when they were up there and they took over that bird sanctuary up in Malheur, Oregon, or Washington, forget which state it was, but they basically besieged the place for a while and went back and forth with the FBI on it, and some lives were lost and some mistakes were made. But I saw a bunch of guys using UV5Rs, and a lot of them had this problem right here. So if I want to know everything I need to know about what this guy is doing in terms of frequency use, all I need to do is just walk by him and take note of the frequencies that are clearly displayed on the front of the radio. Now, of course, yeah, I could get this guy's frequencies by monitoring the scanner, but I have to wait for them to operate. Much quicker just to walk by them and take note of the frequencies and then go punch those into a radio, and then you can mess with them all day if you wanted to. You could call in some false flag activities. You could throw some radio traffic out that might elicit a predictable response out of a bunch of pissed off, undisciplined, armed individuals. So, like I say, COMSEC is a mindset thing as much as it is a practices thing, and this is a very poor mindset right here. Now, it's entirely possible that this guy got there that day and everybody decided these are the two frequency sets that we're going to use, and they punched them into the radio, and because the Baofeng lacks the ability to name a programmed frequency from the front panel, this is the best that they could do. That's one of the reasons why I point that out as a deficiency on this particular radio system. If you don't have the ability to overwrite that frequency data with a name like TAC1 and TAC2, that's problematic. So there's a reason why I place a level of importance on some of those features on radios. So altogether, we've got kind of a real hot mess here. And again, I'm not singling this guy out personally or as an individual. I blocked his identities. I'm just as I said, I'm just pointing out that this is the kind of stuff that you all need to avoid. If you want to be taken seriously, you have to act seriously. And when I walk up on somebody and I'm assessing whether or not they're a serious person and someone that I'd be willing to do business with, I look at things like this. I look at how they have their equipment set up. It tells me a lot about the person on the other end. So do you want to be the guy that's considered to be clown shoes, or do you want to be the guy that's considered to have his act together and know what he's doing? So as I said, that's why this channel exists. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's about all I had to talk about. So with that, I'll go ahead and bring it to a close. Thank you for watching and or listening. This is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee from Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.